Only in the upside-down world of Washington do people think that making government bigger is a recipe for economic growth. I'm Dan Mitchell of the Cato Institute. In this Center for Freedom and Prosperity video, we're going to clear away the fog of political rhetoric and examine what the new administration is proposing and what it means for the American economy. First, let's puncture the myth that bigger government stimulates the economy. As we discussed in our video on Keynesianism, every dollar the government puts in the economy's right pocket is financed by more government borrowing, which means the money is taken out of the economy's left pocket. Keynesianism doesn't increase national income, it just redistributes how it gets spent. We also reviewed the real-world evidence and saw how expanding the burden of government did not work for Hoover and Roosevelt. We looked at Japan, which enacted several so-called stimulus schemes in the 1990s with a big emphasis on infrastructure, and found that Japan's economy stagnated while its national debt skyrocketed. And let's not forget Bush. Government spending climbed to record levels in his 8 years, yet that didn't turn out so well either. Notwithstanding all this evidence, Obama has decided that he wants to be George Bush on steroids. The new administration wants more than $800 billion of so-called stimulus. That's in addition, by the way, to all the new spending that we got under Bush and the new spending that's already slated to occur in the next couple of years anyhow. Let's look at the numbers from the Congressional Budget Office. As the chart illustrates, the size of government expanded dramatically under Bush. The only shred of good news is that a lot of the big jump in 2009 is mostly due to the various bailouts, and CBO estimates that spending growth, based on current policies, will drop back down to the pre-bailout trend. But now, Obama wants to add more lard to the mix. The result is not pretty. Instead of being on the Bush trend line, which already meant far too much spending, the burden of government would be at an even higher level. To be fair, Obama's so-called stimulus is supposed to be temporary, just like the bailout costs. But does anyone really think that the politicians are going to suddenly display fiscal restraint 2 years from now? Or that all the special interests with their snouts in the public trough will decide they no longer want to mooch off the taxpayers? Let's quickly look at some of the major components of Obama's plan. The good news is that Obama wants tax relief to be part of the package. The bad news is that some of the tax cuts are really new spending being laundered through the tax code. When the government sends a check to someone who doesn't pay taxes, that's income redistribution, not tax relief. But even the tax cuts that actually cut taxes are disappointing when placed under the microscope. Obama's flagship proposal would give $500 to individuals and $1,000 to families. That's nice, and I'll certainly be happy to cash any check he sends to me, but getting money from Uncle Sam does not necessarily give anyone an incentive to work more, produce more, or earn more income. Tax relief only leads to more growth if marginal tax rates on productive behavior are lowered. That's why the Kennedy and Reagan tax rate reductions led to faster growth and more prosperity. Unfortunately, Obama is copying the failed tax rebate schemes of Ford and Bush. The spending side of Obama's phony stimulus is an even bigger disappointment. A big chunk of money will go to bail out state politicians, such as Schwarzenegger in California and Corzine in New Jersey, even though overall state spending has increased more than twice as fast as needed to keep pace with inflation. Virtually every interest group in America gets a special handout in Obama's proposal. There are subsidies for public housing. Yet if this was stimulative for the economy, why aren't we booming now? After all, Bush increased the housing and urban development budget by 54%, far faster than needed to keep pace with inflation. Obama wants giant giveaways for mass transit and money to build more bridges to nowhere. Yet the Department of Transportation budget increased at almost twice the rate of inflation under Bush, so why does anyone think more pork will help the economy under Obama? There will also be more food stamps, more welfare, and more income redistribution. Under Bush, though, Department of Health and Human Services spending jumped by 3 times the rate of inflation. Are we supposed to believe that handouts are good for the economy under Obama when they hurt the economy under Bush. The government education monopoly gets a huge $130 billion plus handout in Obama's plan, even though federal interference and intervention has made America's K-12 education system a global embarrassment. Moreover, Department of Education spending skyrocketed under Bush, rising more than 4 times faster than needed to keep pace with inflation. This did not help the economy or educational achievement. Does it make sense then to think the results will be different under Obama? Last but not least, there are even subsidies for internet access and a program so that Uncle Sam can spend $6 billion to weatherize people's homes. Apparently, everything is now a federal government responsibility. What's next? A special program to get rid of dandelions in my lawn? None of this bodes well for the American economy. Wasteful spending hurts growth under Republicans, and wasteful spending hurts growth under Democrats. The same is true around the world. If bigger government was a recipe for growth, then why do jurisdictions with small governments, such as Hong Kong, grow so much faster than nations with bloated governments, such as France? Heck, if government spending was the key to growth, North Korea would be an economic nirvana. Let's close on a semi-cheerful note. Even if Obama's phony stimulus is adopted, we are going to bounce back. The economy is naturally self-correcting, and it takes a lot of very bad policy mistakes to keep it in the dumps for an extended period of time. Of course, that is what happened under Hoover and Roosevelt, so let's hope Obama does not follow that same failed path of more spending, more regulation, more intervention, and more taxes. On behalf of the Center for Freedom and Prosperity, thanks for watching. As always, we count on you to circulate and publicize these videos. Please help spread the message of liberty.